Today will be a quick update on the Wrangler. I've had a few more issues pop up since the last video, so I figured I'd keep you all in the loop. Let's get right into it. This is the second Wrangler that I have owned. The first was a 2022 392 Extreme Recon. This is a 2025, which means it's actually a not so final edition. Anywho, with this Wrangler, I added the full AEV kit, so I upgraded the entire suspension system. I also added 37-inch tall tires, a completely new front bumper with lights integrated, and it integrates the factory winch. And I also added all the rear kit, so the gas storage, the upgraded spare tire carrier with the rear bumper, and even the mud flaps. It's definitely a bit of money to add all of this, but it was worth it, in my opinion, because the stock 392 still sucks when it comes to driving, and there are still some deficits with the factory bumpers, especially the rear. Basically, Jeep does add a reinforced carrier, but adding a 37 and wanting to have extra gas storage, like having this mounted in the frame, makes a huge difference. But yeah, this is my first complaint, is Jeep has not improved the Wrangler since basically the beginning of the JL series. Like, one of the biggest changes with the Wrangler since they first released this new JL is the screen, and the screen sucks. It looks horrible, and it functions far worse compared to the previous screen. The previous screen didn't really lag all that much. This thing lags all the time. Not only that, every single time the system updates, they have over-the-air updates like a lot of other automakers, the whole system just seems to crash. I just had one happen where the screen was just blinking in and out and I couldn't use any of the functions. And after I parked the vehicle, locked it, and let everything do a hard reset, it obviously worked again. But yeah, it seems like they just have a lot of issues with that screen. And I mean, let me show you guys the response time. It's not good. And this is all Stellantis product. They switched to this new UI, and look at this. I mean, it comes up eventually. Sorry, I don't want to do nav because I don't need you guys to see where I live, but it's just like, this is not that quick to respond. It's fine, you know, but I don't know. There's so many other modern cars that have much better UI than this, better response time. Like even my 2020 Land Cruiser with Toyota's ancient system, that still seems to respond quicker, and it has zero glitches, by the way. That thing has never crashed out on me. This thing just crashes out all the time. So complaint number one, they haven't made the changes they need to make to the JL. You have to go aftermarket to actually make this vehicle drive well on-road and off-road. And then the second thing is the infotainment system. That is a continued issue where it just doesn't work all that well when it is working. And a lot of the times it decides not to work, especially after they do updates. Now, these videos are never all bad. There's actually something good that has come out of this new Wrangler ownership, and that is the whole hardtop and modern insulation setup. So they actually do acoustic glass up front with the Wrangler, and they've added a little bit more insulation all throughout. So this Wrangler, unlike my last Wrangler, doesn't creak or rattle, even when I'm pushing it off-road. And I'll try to remember to include a link to the off-road video I just did. I mean, this thing is fantastic with the AEV kit off-road. But yeah, high-speed off-roading, rock crawling, it doesn't creak or rattle, which is very impressive for a Wrangler. And I think a big part of that, again, is having the spare tire mounted to the frame of the Wrangler rather than to the rear tailgate. Because what I noticed with mine, again, I didn't put 37s on the last one, I just put 35s on it. That reinforced carrier helps out a lot, but you still have a ton of stress on the rear tailgate, and I think that stress kind of causes this whole back end to flex and creates a lot of noise. So that is one thing I've enjoyed, is the fact that I don't have a bunch of noise with this. And while we're on side tangents, the AWE exhaust is louder than stock. A lot of people have been asking me about that because they're considering getting this for their Wrangler or for, you know, a Raptor or RHO or TRX. They've got a lot of exhaust systems. Yes, it's louder. If you have the valves closed, it's louder than the stock exhaust with the valves closed. If you have the valves open, it's louder than the stock exhaust with the valves open. So it does increase the overall noise that you get from the exhaust. Now, I've already brought this up before, but I'll bring it up again. I sometimes continue to have keyless entry issues with the Jeep, where sometimes you press it, it doesn't lock, and sometimes you put your hand in and it doesn't unlock. I never wear gloves or anything like that that would potentially block stuff, and I had the same issue with my previous Wrangler. I had the same issue with my TRX. It seems like it's just a Stellantis thing. Speaking of Stellantis things, or really Jeep things, it still has fuel issues. So what I have had happen several times at the gas station is, obviously you open this up, you take this out, you put the nozzle in, and it just locks out instantly. And it sometimes does it several times because it thinks for some reason that this is full of gas. And I'm going to latch this up so I don't mess up anything. But anyways, yeah, it thinks it's full of gas when it's not. And so they have not fixed that issue with the Wranglers. So that means they have not fixed the issue with this showing you the right amount of fuel level. So right now I'm on level ground. This has been parked on level ground, so it's actually accurate in terms of the fuel reading. But if you have this parked even on a little bit of an incline, the reading will get slightly messed up. Now that off-road video that I'll hopefully remember to put in the description down below, in that video at the end, I talk about how my fuel gauge is showing a full tank because I was on an incline for a little bit too long during filming. And so yeah, it still has fuel reading issues, which means, and I haven't had this issue happen yet, but I would have this issue. It means that if I get to a quarter tank or less off-road and I'm on too steep of an incline, the Wrangler is likely to shut off, and the only way for me to get the Wrangler back and running is to get it down, so basically have someone winch me down. So it still has all the fuel issues that it's had before. They have not fixed that whatsoever, and I don't know if they're ever going to fix it with this generation. We're probably going to have to wait for a new generation of Wrangler for Jeep to get the whole fuel situation figured out, or maybe they'll never do it. Time will tell. Now the next issue that I wasn't expecting to have with the new one, because I was told they had apparently fixed it, is the power steering. So my first Wrangler, the power steering sometimes would give me a warning and saying it would overheat, and then it would kind of go out a little bit. This one is not giving me a warning, but it will randomly go out. Now, it usually is most noticeable at very low speeds, like in the driveway, and I've noticed that if I have the tires aired down, it gets even worse. Essentially, the power steering just kind of cuts out randomly, and so you have to like really muscle it, and it's fine because, you know, I work out and everything, so I don't have a problem with it, but it's also annoying. It's like, why is the system so hit or miss? I haven't had that issue with any other car. I've only had that issue with, well, I guess I shouldn't say any other car. The Land Rover Defender, the power steering just straight up went out, but at least it was like honest. It was like, hey, this ain't working anymore. Whereas the Wrangler's like, working, not working, working, not working, like it's back and forth. It's pretty annoying. So as you can see, nothing catastrophic, right? The Wrangler is still running, no problem. I haven't had the four-wheel drive system go out. I haven't had the engine blow up. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon, at least. But it does seem like the gremlins are increasing. But either way, it is still annoying that all these issues are popping up, because it's like one after the other, right? I had no issues when I took delivery of the Wrangler, and then the power steering started to act up. And then I started to have issues with the infotainment system. And then I started to have issues with the fuel system. And again, it's nothing that's going to leave me stranded. It's just these little annoyances, but it's making me wonder, like, are those little annoyances going to eventually turn into a major problem where I then have to take it into the dealership because something broke? I mean, I have a warranty, but also it's annoying when you have to use a warranty because that's still time out of your day to bring it in, to get it serviced, and all of that. So let's take the 392 for a quick spin because I got to drive it anyways. It's been sitting for a little bit too long, and something's up. I will say, when everything is working as intended, this is such a good vehicle in terms of how it, for a Wrangler, for how it drives on-road, and then the performance off-road. Again, go watch that off-road review. It's insane. I mean, this thing can go down trails just as quick as a Bronco Raptor, but then it's narrow and it's got solid axles, so it articulates so much better. It's just crazy. And you can add this, I've said this time and time again, you can add the AEV suspension, just the suspension, to any Wrangler. You don't have to do the full kit, and you don't have to get, stupid fly, you don't have to get a 392. So when everything's working, this thing's amazing. The exhaust sounds great. And again, if I close the valves, just to be clear with you guys, on the highway, even with the valves closed, it's still a little bit rambunctious. That is one thing about the AW exhaust versus the stock. But on the highway, you're gonna get a ton of road noise and wind noise anyways because it's a Wrangler. Like, the double pane windows help out quite a bit, but it's still a Wrangler. So you're still gonna get all the noise up top and everything. And even the insulation, like, it's just, until the Jeep goes away from the convertible stuff, which I don't think they ever will, it's always going to be a bit noisier. But I mean, everything's great. And that's the thing is, you know, these gremlins aren't happening every single time I drive it. It's just, I would say that every single time I drive it, there's probably one gremlin per drive. Now, this is gonna be a short drive, so I doubt anything's gonna happen. But you know, it's like one drive, it'll be the infotainment system, and then another drive, it'll be the power steering, and then it'll be the keyless entry, and then it'll be, you know, nothing will happen, but then I'll take it to the gas station, and then it doesn't want to fill up. It's always something, and again, they're all minor, so it's like, I'm not getting stranded on the side of the road, but it's still annoyances. And you know, I do want to say this because I do think that I've become pickier over the years because I've reviewed so many cars, but also I think that two cars in particular made me much pickier about my expectation out of the vehicle. and that is the Ineos Grenadier and then the 200 Series Land Cruiser. Because prior to owning those vehicles, I had mostly owned American vehicles on the channel. And so it's like Ford has Gremlins, Jeep has Gremlins, Chevy has Gremlins. Like they all have little things that pop up here and there. Even my Toyota Supra that was basically a BMW, right? That had little Gremlins. But then you get the Grenadier, and I obviously had a first year Grenadier that was pretty low in the production, so it wasn't perfect. But after they got the initial couple things fixed, that was, you know, initial production stuff, it was perfect after that. Like it was fine, right? And then the 200 Series Land Cruiser has this same thing. It always starts up, just like the Grenadier, always starts up, always does this thing, doesn't really glitch out. It just kind of puts in the work. And so I do think that's part of the reason why this stuff has become, I guess, a bigger issue for me, is my expectation went from, well, as long as the car doesn't break down on me, like, okay, it has an electrical, like my TRX, for example, I took it in the snow once, and it, you know, the dash lit up like a Christmas tree, and the four-wheel drive system went out, and I had to have my friend pull me out of the snow, and I had to like limp down the trail for the truck to finally come back with all the systems. It was such a pain. But I'm like, hey, I made it back, right? So that's what my expectation used to be. Now my expectation is what I've experienced with Land Cruisers, where like, and again, the Grenadier, I take it off-road and it does everything, all the functions work, no lights pop up on the dash, and then I get home and then turn it off, and then I drive it the next day and everything's fine, right? There's no drama whatsoever. So I do think that has kind of changed my perspective a bit. And so I guess if you're gonna buy a Jeep, make sure you don't also own something that's that reliable, so then your Jeep looks better, because otherwise you're gonna, again, it gets annoying. It's like, man, why can't this just do what Toyota does? And modern Toyota has definitely got some issues, but you know, they're definitely not perfect by any means. But still, I mean, it's like, come on, Jeep. You've been making the Wrangler for how long? And you still can't figure out how to make it so that when I put some fuel in it, it doesn't misread it and then tell me it's full when it's not. Come on! This week's giveaway is perfect for classic muscle car lovers, because we have a Cuda and a Roadrunner. The Cuda produces 290 horsepower and has an automatic. The Roadrunner produces 390 horsepower and has a manual. Both of them are obviously powered by V8s. Now this particular giveaway is going to be ending fairly soon on November 2nd. So if you want to get in now and get some extra bonus entries, just use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or the pinned comment. Any donation, $25 or more, will give you 4x bonus entries.